All right, friends, we are going to be adding and subtracting mixed numbers. But before we get started with that, let's make sure that we are real comfortable with these terms. Finding the sum of two numbers or some numbers, the difference, the product, and the quotient. We've been working with these all along. You've been working with them last year as well. But if I said, what's the sum of these two numbers? Would you be able to tell me? What if I said, what's the difference between these two numbers? I know they're different, but how different? How much bigger is 12 than 3? If I said, what was the product of these two numbers or the quotient? We should be able to find them, even if we're just given the numbers with no symbol. You should be able to figure out what symbol would get that answer. The answers are different. So if I said, what's the product of these two numbers? I hope you would know that to find a product, you multiply. So the product of these two numbers would be 36. If I said, 36. If I said, what is the quotient of these two numbers? I would hope that you would know that that means division, right? So to find the quotient, you take the dividend, divide it by the divisor, which is how many groups or how many in a group, and you will end up with the quotient, which is the answer. Well, today we're just going to be working mostly with sums and differences. Of course, it'll be with mixed numbers, but if I said, let's go back to these numbers. What's the sum of those two numbers? If you said 15, you're right. What's the difference between those two numbers? If you subtracted and you got 9, you were correct. So the difference, subtraction, the sum, you get that from adding. Now, some kids have a hard time remembering this, and there's a simple way to get it in your head. See that word sum? How many letters does it have? 3. Guess what else has 3? Add. Now, difference is a longer word, right? Guess what else is a longer word? Subtraction. So hopefully that will help you remember the difference between finding a sum and finding a difference, because you'll be asked that and you'll need to know the difference. All right, here we go. We want to find the sum of these two mixed numbers. 1 2/10 plus, right, the sum, 2 5/10. Now here's my secret for when you are, drop my eraser, for when you are adding or subtracting mixed numbers. The best thing you can do is rewrite it vertically, and you will begin to see why this is so helpful. Maybe not on this first one, but you will. All right, so when we're adding mixed numbers, we're used to having a ones column, a tens column, a hundreds column, and all that, and starting with the ones. But now I want you to sort of think about the fact that there's a fractional column. That's where we're going to start. 2/10 plus 5/10 is 7/10. 1 whole plus 2 wholes, 3 wholes. You're done. That's all there is to it. Let's try some more. All right, we're going to find the difference between these two mixed number amounts. I can see that that's more than that amount. When you find the difference, you're finding out exactly how much difference there is, how much bigger or smaller the numbers are apart from each other. So I know it's going to be subtraction, but I'm going to definitely rewrite it vertically. And then I'm going to start in the fraction column is what we're going to call it for now. 3/10 take away 2/10 would leave you with 1/10. 4 wholes take away 2 wholes would leave you with 2 wholes. Final answer is 2 1/10. All right, how about this one? And I've already written it vertically. We're finding the sum of these two mixed numbers. 1 2/10 plus 2 5/100. This is why you like that it's vertically written, verticals up and down, because I've got different denominators here. So I have a roadblock until I get this taken care of. Luckily, you know how to make equivalent fractions, so this will be no big deal for you. And if you've written it vertically, you'll have space to make your equivalent fractions. So I know I want hundredths. And 10 times what gets me 100? 10. So I automatically know it's going to be 10 over 10 that I'll multiply 1 2/10 by that. And I'm just really working with the fraction part right now. Let's kind of look at those columns again. So 2/10 is the exact same amount as 20 hundredths. Kind of like 2 dimes is the same as 20 pennies. So that's good. Now I can go ahead and add them. 20, and I don't need that anymore. 20 hundredths plus 5 more hundredths is 25 hundredths. It's like 25 pennies. And then 1 whole plus 2 wholes, 3 wholes, done. All right, last one of our examples. 4 3/10, take away 2 200ths. I'm finding out the difference between these. I know they're different. I know this one's larger than this one, but exactly how different? What exact amount are they different? Is difference between them? So 3/10 take away 200ths. Looks like we have a little problem here, but we can handle it because we know how to make equivalent fractions. So I want this to be hundredths. I already know from the last one that 10 times 10 over 10 is going to be my go-to fraction there. And 10 times 10 is 100. 3 times 10 is 30. I've got a nice, beautiful fraction with hundredths in the denominator. So 30 hundredths take away 2 hundredths, 28 hundredths, right? 4 wholes take away 2 wholes. 2 wholes. There you go. Answer. Adding and subtracting mixed numbers. Smooth sailing unless there's different denominators, but we can handle that, no problem.